General and Commissioner Justice of Zamfara State until 2015, when I decided to go back to my practice again, which I am still practicing now. I am married with children.
We are now in a new world.
Yes.
With a president of one of the most powerful nations on earth, a new president, Donald Trump,
Sure.
and a new foreign policy that clearly moves to the direction of protectionism.
Yes.
Now, the first question is, in Europe you have Brexit, and in the United States you have a Trump that is building a wall and banning some countries from coming into the United States. So the new, in quote, world order is that of nations protecting themselves and looking inwards. As an ambassador to be, what is your own view on the new realities that we are confronted with in the present world? And secondly, ECOWAS and the African Union. It's very clear that on paper we are playing a leadership role within the sub-region and the continent. But it is also evidently clear that gradually we are losing our clout, the continent, as evidenced by our loss of positions we vie in the recently conducted AU elections, where we vie for the positions of Peace and Security Commissioner, and even the one we have of Political Affairs, we have lost it. And it's clear to us that many countries, both within the continent and the sub-region, didn't vote for Nigeria. And we have sacrificed a lot. Without Nigeria, Gambia could have been in chaos now.
Yes.
And we have a history of intervention in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Congo, and several parts of Africa. What do you think will be our best strategy to further restore our clout, our influence, and relevance within the continent? The last one I have is, supposing you are sent to, as an ambassador, to Palestine, what is your recipe for solution to the Israeli-Palestine conflict that has been raging with a legal settlement built by Israel in Palestinian lands? What is your own view that should be Nigeria's official position? Thank you very much.
A lot of countries adopted that protectionism. It only resulted in wars and conflicts. Secondly, let me tell this distinguished committee that America is a special democracy. In America, what guides and leads action are institutions. America has strong institutions that are more powerful than any individual. Because, let me take Obama for instance. When Obama came, he went to Cairo and delivered a speech in a university, making people believe as soon as he's there, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will be over. He even promised closing Guantanamo. But up to the time he left, he couldn't do it. Why? Because in America, institutions dictate what their president does. It's true, Trump has said a lot of things he will do. I hold the belief that he cannot implement those things. And I'm vindicated. Recently, the ban he gave, the order of banning some Muslim countries from going to America, has been completely devastated by the institution of that country's judiciary. A high court judge set that order aside. Court of Appeal, he went on appeal. Court of Appeal also supported the lower court. As I'm talking to you now, the indigents of those countries are flooding into US. And as I'm talking to you now, about 100 private companies, including Microsoft, Apple, and others, 100 of them have gone to court too, challenging that order, because to them, it will devastate them economically. They said they get their cheap labor from these countries, they have experts in this ICT, and stopping them from coming to America would be a disaster. As I'm talking to you, the court is fixing a date to hear that. And today they are arguing state versus about 5 states have gone to court. Today they will decide on that order. I assure the distinguished senator, I have never panicked. I have never been disturbed by Trump's saying, because the institutions are strong. It's just like what Hausa said, that when you have a trouser made of metal, once you can neither see it nor bend. The metal decides what you do. But on the new order, the British exit 2 is on the same line, that they want to protect their country. But that one too is not going well, because the same Supreme Court in London recently has told the Prime Minister you cannot process or start doing anything about exiting until you go back to Parliament. So these are softening issues that no matter how conservative a leader is in the developed democracies, you cannot simply sleep with your wife and ask your wife what to do, and you go and you do it. You cannot do it, because the forces there are strong, and the complex interests, economic interests, political interests, security interests will not allow you to single-handedly think the way you think is the way you run a country. So to me, distinguished senator, the emerging world order may be temporary, but I assure you that things may not go that way. But secondly, the failure of the UN too has contributed to these issues of people losing confidence in international organizations. Because when UN succeeded the League of Nations, which failed woefully, resulting in First and Second World Wars, people thought there should be a better and stronger organization, and that's why they established the United Nations. But unfortunately, that clause of giving about 5 countries the veto power has made the UN too very weak and a toothless dog, if I may say. So people have now realized that internationally they have no strong institutions to protect their interests and do things right. So they are now looking inward. And finally, the economic downturn and recessions, global one, has forced people to look into, because Trump was saying that their jobs are taken away, their factories are closing down, and they are spending hell of money establishing other people's economies while their own is down. And these are the languages that the common man, common American, appreciates. It's just like in our country. When Mr. President speaks, it's not addressing me and you, it's addressing the masses. And they understand him well. And that's why, because of the economic recession, people are really tending to see who will bring change. But in any case, a lot of these promises, if I may say, they are not really something they can work out. But for Nigeria, I think you are distinguished senator. What we need now is to rebrand our national interest, because the national interest determines our foreign policy objectives. Throughout history, Tafawa has its own policy. The cornerstone of Nigeria's policy should be Africa. When later Madueke came, he called what he called citizenship diplomacy. That's when you go, you give serious concern about Nigerians in this group. But today we are faced with serious international challenges: terrorism, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and other organized crimes. And it's high time for us, I think, to rebrand our foreign policy to make it robust and reflect the reality of the world now. That's for the one issue. The Nigerian position that we are now losing ground all over is also related, distinguished senator, to our foreign policy too. I think with the current regime of change, where we will try to rebrand our Nigerian position internationally, our integrity, our standing, and what have you, distinguished senator, Nigeria has all it takes in terms of potentialities to be a world power. We have the potentialities, because by our population, by our geography, we have the coastal area, by our own resources endowed both human and natural, we have no reason. Nigeria has no reason to be lagging behind international action. Nigeria must be able to direct and influence the action of other nations. Because most small nations are not able to the level of being measured with us. I blame they are not internationally. We must look inward. Why are we in this position? With the greatest respect, and I wish to submit respectfully, that our foreign policy as it is today is not really robust. Because we have given, when I was in school, I gave my own genes to be taken to Zimbabwe. Every time we are concerned with our African sisters, they were coming to main campus Zaria to ask for clothes. We contribute clothes, we contribute money. Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa. Nigeria fought to see the end of this apartheid. Nigeria fought to see the fall down of the apartheid also in Zimbabwe, which was at that time Rhodesia. And even, but unfortunately, these countries are now, they seem to be biting the fingers that fed them. But we left them because we have to use both carrot and stick. Unfortunately, we have not been using stick. I think we use more of carrot. I think we have been too good and too liberal with countries, sympathizing with them. But when it comes to our interests, we hardly use stick. Because this is what is happening, these people killing Nigerians, particularly in South Africa and other places. Those things I'm not aware of having taken any serious issues that will teach other countries lesson. So in international relations, the single senator use both carrot and stick. But we have been using carrots too much. I think what you need to do now is to start using us, because we have all it takes to use it. So for the loss of this glory we have now, we have to sit down and review our relationship with those countries that are really biting us at our back. Because no African country is not benefiting from Nigeria today. Mention it, any country today is benefiting from our benevolence and our kindness. And now that since they are coming out all the way to say that they are not supporting our interests, distinguished senator, this can only be solved by the government of the day sitting down and reviewing our foreign policy. That will help us to retrieve that. You cannot retrieve that position until you can only use diplomacy to retrieve that position we are losing, sincerely speaking. So it's a very serious. I feel pained to see an African candidate, Nigerian candidate, distinguished senator, losing election for simple chair of this. It's not the best for us, because it reduces our international image, it reduces our position, and I don't think we should hold our hands akimbo and watch this thing happen. And the earlier the government sits and review this issue, the better. Otherwise, it will continue. So on this issue, I think we need to review our foreign policy with the national interest, make it robust and radical. Because I know that some military heads of state we had, even though they are not Democrats, when they use stick, they were able to get what we want. But we are too liberal, too silent, too brotherly to such countries. All I can do is stand with the Nigerian national interest and Nigerian policy, that we are really against terror, we are against domination, we are against international barbarism of choosing other people over others. That's the only thing we can stand for. And when we go to the international arena, we make our stand clear.
Excuse me.
Yes,
I support a two-state solution.
Yes, sure, that's the best.
I've heard you speak to the fact that protectionism does not work, and those were your quotations. Unilateralism does not work. The United Nations is weak. Nigeria's foreign policy is ineffectual. Those are your words. Now my question to you is, what would you like to see the thrust of Nigeria's foreign policy? What would you like us to do as a country, bearing in mind that you do not believe in protectionism nor unilateralism? You believe in a world that works together for the greater good of the common peace under stronger international organizations. So I'd like to know exactly what it is you want us to do in such a way that helps us be transactional and yet helps us be strong in the face of weak international institutions and strong international power.
In international relations will squarely rely on the power it has. That is power to direct and influence the action of others. Single-handedly, Nigeria cannot do anything. But internationally, we try to other countries, because there are many of them that are against. In fact, this protection is almost more than half of the global members of it are against it. So we have a level playing ground and we have a platform. We need to come together with the similar countries with like minds. We work together and protest and see what we can do as a community. I foresee a situation, Honorable, where if countries find themselves frustrated by the myopic interests of this protectionist, I don't rule out the possibility of establishing another international organization. But for now, we have to make it crystal clear, because to make a categorical statement alone in international relation matters. Because there are countries looking upon us, looking to Nigeria as leader, as the international voice. I mean, when expressing our voices. So we have to be radical, we have to be committed, we have to put all our resources at our disposal, both human and natural, to ensure that the world order is not affected by these inward-looking leaders. And luckily for us, even their own citizens and their interests, economies, businesses are not with them. So we have a very good platform, if we can utilize it internationally, to mobilize and be part of this serious world opposition to protectionism. So Nigeria, as I earlier said, we need to sit and review what is our national interest now in view of the serious challenges. Because that will determine the foreign policy objectives. Then we support it with a robust foreign policy. Because foreign policy is the material, it's the weapon. It's the weapon that we use to influence other nations, to convince them. So what we need, really what I have been saying is that our foreign policy for now, I cannot even say what it is, sincerely speaking, because we have been silent. Other regimes have been saying today, the cornerstone of foreign policy is this. Today I cannot tell you, as a student of international relations, I cannot tell you today where we stand as far as our cornerstone of foreign policy is. So as I earlier said, Honorable, it's the duty of us, the committee, the Senate, and everybody to convince, particularly this government, that can we change. And may I say this respectively, our president has already played a vital role in regaining our international image, our international recognition. Not long ago, the outgone Secretary General of the United Nations has made a clear statement. Mr. President, you have saved your country from embarrassment. You have regained our confidence. Nigeria now is seen as a country with integrity. So already we have a pivot from which our foreign policy, because the impression of countries before is now changed. It's for us who are going out there to go with this idea of Mr. President, Nigeria is not what it has been before. We are now born again. And with due respect, Honorable, once we carry this flag of Nigeria is a new country now, I assure you that we'll be able to convince other nations to jointly fight this protectionist something. But we have to start at home. Let the international community see us having a robust revolutionary foreign policy to match our new change agenda of this regime. I think once we do that, God will help us see us through.
Everything you said has not really touched upon the economic power. We virtually have the largest population in this continent.
Yes.
Therefore, one of the biggest markets.
Yes.
We also manufacture and co-manufacture and supply to every other country.
Yes.
Even South Africa, I came from behind, like you said, that we helped to gain independence.
Yes.
Has become a greater economic power.
Yes.
And that economic power is the basis for the issue you raised here and the power that we should have.
Yes.
But it's not hard I think here you touch on the economy of this country, which is total shambles. We import rice, We import foodstuff, other foodstuff. Everything we can think of that we can produce locally is imported. And no country is respected, no country gets that kind of power you're talking about if it's not an economic power in the equation of the world politics.
I agree with you. That's why I said that, that's why when I started, I said Nigeria has all it takes in terms of potentials to be a world power. We have this population, but unfortunately, we don't have a productive population. Developed economies have productive population, and that's why they need power. Developed countries have well-trained and equipped military, because military is a factor in global power. Secondly, even our own geography, even the coastal area we have, we are not really utilizing it to our advantage. We cannot expect Taiwan to listen to Nigeria when it is feeding Nigeria with rice. That's why you find small countries that award themselves, they play a better role in international something. So the single center, we are happy all of you are here. The idea of making Nigeria great is the role of every Nigerian. And today, we are the opportune ones. And history will not forgive us if we don't put together our heads with the executive, with the legislature, with judiciary to address this issue. Because these are elements of power in international politics. You have the elements of power, but then the ability to transform these resources into power is a serious challenge to us. Because if these countries, African countries, because the time we were commanding the respect of African countries, we were feeding our single senator. Our economy was robust. That's why they were rushing to come to Nigeria. I could remember when Ghanaians and even these people from the home Benin, they were all in Nigeria because that time we were the paradise on the African continent. But when things went astray, Ghanaians have gone back to their Ghana. Beninians have gone back. So it is really an unfortunate and it's an irony of history that the countries we raise and help can today boast more of power in time. So honestly speaking, we just have to do something here and now if we want really command international respect. No matter what people will say, Nigeria is a giant, it's a lion, it cannot be a giant when it cannot feed itself. So with due respect, the single center, the only suggestion I would give is the challenge for all Nigerians to sit down. We have the single senator from Sokoto to Port Harcourt. There are nothing you plant that do not grow. God in his infinite mercy has given us rains every time, but the rain drains and go. So we have everything here. It's a matter of sitting down and managing. And in next no time, once we are committed to these ideals, even other countries can start from scratch and be what they are. We have no reason as Nigeria with all these potentialities take more than 2 to 3 years to be what we want to be. That's my submission.
That is, you have really captured it all.
And I'm sitting with my comrade in arms. Thank you, distinguished senators.